Hi, I'm JJ Conway, and I help hardworking women and a few good men build financial confidence and take ownership of their financial future. I'm cheering you on with education on financial literacy, smart investments, and passive income streams. Welcome to Ladies of Wealth.
This stay-at-home mom wanted to know how she could contribute during the time her children were at school. How could she contribute to the household during the time that her children were in school? And her schedule was very similar to mine. She doesn't live around here, but her schedule was very similar to mine. She dropped her kids off at about 7:30 in the morning and then picked them back up at about 3-ish, 3:20-ish, 3:30. It might be 3:45. I think that, whatever it is, but it's a good long hack. And when we looked at the good long hack and we looked at the things that were important to her, her health care and exercise and things like that, and meal planning and all those kinds of things were super important. And so then it was like, okay, well, I'm going to show you how to carve out a business that doesn't have to take long to grow to self-sustaining, but you only need to really work it about 2 hours a day. Now, before you scoff at me and say there's no way you can build a business for 2 hours a day, let me just casually observe what I remember from the workplace. Can we just talk about? Can we be a little bit? Can we be real? Are we friends today? Can we talk about the workplace? Can we talk about how people come to work and they basically do nothing all day and then get up in church and testify about how they get paid to do nothing all day? Like, I remember, I won't name the agency, but I remember going to one government agency and they didn't open till 9 and we didn't know that. So we were there at 8:30 and we wanted to be first in the queue, and the ladies come wobbling in. It was kind of waddling in at 9 o'clock. And I was like, hey, I need to get this done. And they're like, oh, no, you don't. We just got here. We're just now clocking in. We're going to go get our coffee. And when we get back from getting our coffee, then you can have the service that you're here for. Oh, y'all, I was so hot. I didn't know that that's how certain systems in this particular government agency worked. And eventually, I sat down and I was trying to find somebody else. Then I was trying to find somebody else to meet the need. And one of the supervisors came in and I explained that we hadn't been helped and he took care of it. But what I've discovered since retiring from the Air Force is that a lot of corporations, there are a lot of people wasting a lot of time and a lot of money. And they're doing the most they can to get away with the least amount of work and make as much of a paycheck as they can. So if you're going to tell me you got to work 8 hours a day in order to build a business, well, I'm going to tell you, if you're focused, you don't have to do that. Now, would you make more money if you were focused on a business for 8 hours a day? I'm not going to argue with that. I'm an entrepreneur. We're known for working 16, 20 hours a day if you let us, right? And so I'm not going to argue with, would you make more? Would you be more successful? Would you get more out of the business? But if you only have 2 hours a day, which when we parsed out her schedule and the things that were important to her, that I felt like 2 hours a day was a safe block that she could carve out. When you're working focused, laser focused on what you're doing and why, 2 hours a day is all you really need. And if many of us entrepreneurs will be honest with ourselves and we would look back over our history, we would note that we spend a whole lot more time rearranging the stuff on our desk, putting the cup just so, and the mouse pad just so, and the motivation pieces just so, and we spend so much time prepping. We don't spend any time phone calling. We don't spend any time emailing. We don't spend any time building courses. We don't actually spend time on business building activities. And that's a whole nother discussion, right? Like, what is it about those activities? What is it about the fear? What is it about the imposter syndrome? What is it that's stopping us from executing those business activities? But we'll be in the office all day long. We'll have rearranged this and did that and filed this and filed that and did blah 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 bibbidi bobbidi boo. And you know what? At the end of the day, I can wave that magic wand, but ain't nothing gotten done. But if you can take 2 hours to focus every day, I'm gonna give you off on Sunday or whatever holy day you choose. If you take, you gotta have some rest, right? You work your business hard for 2 hours a day for 6 days a week, every month. it's not going to take you long before you start to see some profits, especially if you have these 3 keys dialed in. We're going to talk about the 3 keys that you have to have dialed in order to build a business in just 2 hours a day. If you've been wanting to start your business, if you've been feeling like you need to start a business, but you don't know where to start, then I want you to text "I'm in" to 254-454-HOPE. That's 4673. And that will get you in my queue so that when I ask for the dates and times that work the best, you will be part of the people who get to choose that. Okay. All right. So this is what we're going to be talking about today. Let me go ahead and take that down for now. All right. There are 3 keys that must be dialed in order for you to build a successful business in just 2 hours a day. And you might say, it's impossible. I don't know how I can do this. Who on earth can build a business in just 2 hours a day? Okay. First of all, I want to tell you something. One thing I know about you is that you work too hard to be this broke. You work too hard to be as broke as you are. For as much effort as you are putting into life, you should have so much more success than you are having right now. For as much effort as you are putting into life, you should so much better health, so much more of everything, so much more faith, so much more fulfillment in your relationships for the amount of effort that you are putting in. And sometimes we don't even realize that we are our own worst enemy, because we believe if working hard got us here, then working hardest will get us there. We worked hard to get here. We think that working harder will get us there. And we worked hard to get here, and you're not going to stop us from getting there. What we don't realize is this is the hard work that got us here. And you need that hard work to get you here. But it's not about hard work to go up to higher levels. It's about connection and working smarter and emphasizing processes. One thing I know about everybody, we work too hard to be this broke. Okay. I know for years I worked too hard to be as broke as I was. I made 6 figures and I still didn't have 2 pennies to rub together. Y'all, that's a tragedy. You can't even qualify for any kind of programs or help or anything, but you still have no food to put on the table. I'm not going to complain because I appreciate the Lord for giving me a good salary to help climb out of that $800,000 of debt. But y'all, that was a rough and humbling time in my life that I hope I never have to return to. And I hope you never have to stay in a time like that either. Another thing I know about all of us, and clearly I can't spell, but that's okay. I have traveled all over the world in my military and in my upbringing. We have traveled all over the world. And 2 things that I find that is common to people all over the world is that most of us wish that we had more control over our time. And most of us wish that we had more control over money for the things that we want, the things that we dream about, the things that we care about, the things that provide meaning to our lives. And we work so hard to get access to those things. And yet it just seems to slip through our fingers every time. Well, you implement these 3 keys. You implement these 3 keys that I'm about to tell you. And then you're going to find out just how possible it is to build a self-sustaining business with just 2 hours a day. Okay. The key number 1 is the principle of ikigai. Okay. Now this is a Japanese principle. My little floret here it does not say ikigai. All right. If you remember what this is from, then I want you to drop it in the chat. And the first person who drops this in the chat is going to get $7 to their Cash App. All right. So if you remember where you have seen me teach on this, then I want you to drop it in the chat. It's a very specific training I used to do once a year. And the crazy thing is this Japanese principle, someone taught it to me and I made this chart. They didn't name it ikigai. So I called it highest and best use. and I made this little chart just going off of the principle, and I taught on it for years. And then when I was trying to find an Ikigai chart so I could put it in my slide, I couldn't find a good one. So I just went and grabbed this old one. Okay. But highest and best use really should say Ikigai. Okay. And the principle behind this is the thing that is going to allow us to have the most profitable and fulfilling life. I want to make sure you understand what I'm saying. You can work hard and be profitable. You can do things that add value and fulfill you, but they don't always result in both at the same time. So what we're going for here is we're going for both fulfillment and profitability. We're going for fulfillment and effectiveness. And so maybe you're not called to be super wealthy, but maybe you're called to accomplish a thing. Maybe there's something the Lord has put in your hands. You don't know how to do it, or you don't know how to do that and still have a fruitful life, because whatever is being put before you is not what you like. It's not what you want to do. Okay. These are things that keep us from flourishing. And I would submit to you that if something is put in your path by the Lord, then there is an aspect of that is going to be in line with your personality and is going to be in line with your strength and your talents. And if it's not in line with your strength and talent, then he will provide the way, or he will provide the other person, or he will provide the other resources that make up for the fact that it's not in your strength and talents, so that this principle will still apply in your life, because you will have your highest success at the intersection of something that you are passionate about, something that you are good at, something the world actually needs, okay, and something that you can be paid for. And one of the biggest problems that I see in businesses, okay, one of the biggest problems I see in businesses, let me see if I can do this on a split screen kind of thing. Can I do this on a split screen? No, I don't see, it's not letting me do that. Okay, I'll just do the big one. Okay, so I was trying to do something because of the way that the AIs cut this after it's done. It's wonky when you have slides like this. I need to figure out a better way. I see a lot of people who love something and they're good at it, and that's their passion, and they just absolutely love it, and they want to make that a business, and are like, oh my goodness, I am going to do this. So let's just say I love this. This is my black queen. This is my black queen. In chess, she is the most powerful player in the game. And I was actually trying to buy a bunch of these because they were on clearance at Hobby Lobby. I was trying to buy a bunch of these so that I could mail them to my clients, but then I found out that they break easy. So if you did not get a black queen, I'm sorry. And if you got a black queen that was all crunched up, I'm sorry. But she's the most powerful piece in the game. And that's why I like to have the reminder of her, especially considering all the things that are going on in the world. Okay. This is the most powerful piece in the game of chess. And in my life, I am the most powerful person in my life other than the Lord. Okay. And so I might say I love the symbology of this, and I have a passion to help empower women's lives. So I'm going to make it my mission to put a black queen in the hands of every woman who needs to be encouraged. So every time she looks at it, she remembers that she has the power. Now, am I making this sound good? Don't I make that sound good? Does that sound good? If that sounds good, put that in the chat. Ooh, that sounds good. Like, I'm making this up. I'm totally making this up as I go along. But doesn't that sound good? Like, I could see somebody making it their mission that I'm going to put something in your hands that's going to encourage you all the time, right? I can make that sound really good. I can get all excited about it. You see how excited I got, right? I can make that sound really good, and I can make that really, really exciting, but the world does not need it. A small subset of the world needs it, and niches are riches. All right. So that's a true statement. Niches are riches. Niches are riches. If you neck down the niche, the more you neck it down, the more attractive and dialed in you are to the people that really need what you offer, the more likely you're going to be able to meet their needs and be well compensated for it in the marketplace, right? But not everybody needs this to remember that they are empowered and they can do hard things, and that everything you want is uphill, and not to give up and to always persevere. Like, so that's not necessarily something the world needs. And here's the biggest problem with that, even though it does sound cool. Ain't nobody gonna pay me to do that. Now I might be able to sell these. But if you have ever done retail sales, and I still do, like we make t-shirts for our conferences, right? If you've ever done retail sales, I mean, and I used to have a boutique in my basement, and I would take all my stuff to every church convention I could take it to, and I would sell that stuff, and I'd have money for my offerings, y'all, and money to go on the trips and things like that I wanted to go on. You know, you can sell stuff, but a lot of times when it comes to retail sales in that kind of capacity, you are quite limited in the amount of money you can make for the amount of time, unless you have some seriously dialed in processes. Okay, and we'll talk about processes in a little bit. But I would be a fool to decide that I was going to make my business putting these in the hands of every woman that needs to be reminded that she is enough and that she can do it. It sounds good, but it's not profitable. And so there are other things where people feel like, okay, I'm going to do this thing that I'm good at. Okay, I'm good at something. And people think I'm good enough at it that they can pay me for it, but I really don't love it. And you could do that. That's your profession. Okay, that's your profession. You could do that, but it's not going to push you to the highs and lows of being an entrepreneur. Okay, and so you want to find the intersection of all of these four things, and you want to look for the things that you love, the things that the world needs, and that what you can be paid for and that you're good at. Okay, so like, for example, I am a financial planner. There are a million financial planners out there, so clearly the world needs it. There are a lot of people who regurgitate the same thing on YouTube. So in one sense, you might say, I don't think that's going to work because ain't nobody going to pay you when they can get it for free 99 on YouTube University. But I'll tell you what, I've got to interview these folks because they've got a fantastic business model. I came across someone who does an online education in music. And I was like, well, what do you do about all the YouTube University folks out there who are giving away stuff like this for free? She said, oh, those are my feeders, because people take those programs and they realize how horrible they are. And then they come to me and they pay for quality. And so in my case, when I look at financial planning, yeah, there's a million financial planners out there, but there's only one JJ Conway. There's a million financial planners out there, but there's only one young lady who's getting older by the day. My body is telling me, my body is reminding me, there's only one. Let me start over. There's only, I'm sorry, y'all. I know y'all don't find it as funny as I do, but I've been up and down in prayer all day, and my knees and my back and my neck are like, no, you are not as young as you think you are. I'll be 50 next month, y'all. And today I'm feeling it. I am feeling it. Okay, anyway, back to the subject. There's 1,000,001 financial planners out there, but there's only one JJ Conway who was a military single mom who got out of over $800,000 of debt, who preaches and teaches primarily a debt-free lifestyle and has walked the walk. Now, I know other people who've gotten out of similar debt, and I know other people who teach a debt-free lifestyle. I know a lot of others who will help you get out of debt or build wealth with it, but then it comes crashing down on you. I know a lot of that, but I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I don't know as many landlords. How do I want to say this? I don't know too many landlords or property owners who own the amount of properties that I own or hold in my portfolio in my self-directed IRA that can sleep well at night and don't stress about a vacant property because they are leveraged to the hilt. Okay. And so I distinguish myself in the marketplace by the things that I stand for and the things that I stand against, and by my life experiences and my willingness to be open and honest with people. That's what people are getting when they pay for my services. And they don't always like it because, we say we want open and honest, but we don't. No, we do not want JJ telling us you need to stop spending all that money. But you know what? I'm going to tell you, most people don't have a money problem. They have a management problem. So anywho, I'm giving you that example because just because we're looking for something that the world can pay you for, and you might think that, well, if it's on YouTube University, nobody's going to pay me. No, you distinguish yourself in the marketplace. They will pay you. You meet the need. They will pay you. You give them an example and hope that they can rise up and do better and achieve the dreams that the Lord has put on their heart, and they will pay you. Because you are opening pathways for them. You are opening up opportunities for them. You are allowing them to borrow your faith in them, your belief in them when they don't even have it for themselves. And for that, you will be compensated in the marketplace. Okay. So that's our first principle. The first key you got to have dialed in. The first key you got to have dialed in is you have got to have that confluence of the things that you love, the things you're good at, the things you get paid for, and what the world needs. Now, I'm going to say this. You're not going to like it, but I'm going to say it anyway. It's not about what you want to say. It's not about what you want to give. It's not about what you want to knit. It's not about what you want to paint. It's not about the t-shirt you want to make. It's not about the book you want to write. Trust me, I've written 13 books and you haven't heard of most of them. You know why? Because they weren't any good. You know why? Because I was writing what I wanted to say. I was not writing what the audience wanted to read. And my first couple of courses, well, actually, I take that back. My very first course was based on John Maxwell content. That was, I still teach that course. Y'all, it still makes me good money. But some of my other courses, they weren't dialed in on what the audience needs. And they weren't dialed in on what the audience wants. And so they flopped because they were just basically me pontificating because I just thought I was so perfect and so amazing and you just be like me and everything's going to be great. That's a whole nother conversation. In your business, you have to find out what the people who are willing to pay you want and need. And sometimes what they want is different from what they need. You got to give them what they want so that they can pay you to give them what they need. That makes sense. Again, I'm looking at the time. I don't have the time to dig into that too much. I got 2 more key principles to give you tonight. Ooh, y'all, this workshop that we're going to do, it's going to be fire. I tell you what. All right. Okay. The next key that we need is we need easy profit pathways. Okay. And so there are 2, look, there are a bunch of pathways. There are a bunch of pathways that you want to create in your business, but I'm giving you today 2 of the biggest ones. And if you don't have these pathways in your business right now, your business is not going to succeed. However, if you can put these in place right now, I'll bet you will see an increase in your payments, your notifications of payments received. I'll bet you'll see an increase in those within a week if you get this right. Okay. So there's 2 different pathways that we're talking about. The first pathway we're talking about is simply, how do I pay you? And I had to learn to stop making things so complicated. I had these clients in my office one time, and I had them in there, and this appointment was going downhill. You know, this person was a separated veteran, and they had a lot of health issues. And I was like, you really should go to the VA and see about getting disability benefits. And these people, how do I want to say this? I want to say this in a nice, tolerant, and inclusive manner. These people had already made up their mind when they saw me that they did not want to work with me. Okay. And so no matter what I said, the appointment was going downhill fast. And so then I decided to show them if they change their mind, because I really felt like I could help them, but I had offended them by suggesting they go to the VA. If you change your mind, here's how you can connect with me. I went through that website for like 3 minutes of clicking. Now, 3 minutes does not sound like a whole lot of time unless you're clicking and they're watching you. 2 angry people are watching you. And I realized in our website update, I had what's the easiest way to say it? I had made difficult the ability to pay. I had erased, I had removed, I had obliterated their ability to pay me. Nobody could just go click a button and get connected with me. Nobody could click a button and buy what they needed to buy from me. And in the past, it was JJ's courses, JJ's books, easy peasy. Okay. So you want to have a pathway for them to pay you. that is easy and removes as much friction as possible. So there's 2 different pathways. I think I said that, make sure that you guys heard there's 2 different pathways, okay? The first pathway is you want to make sure people can actually pay you. And so what I mean by that is they actually need to be able to give you their money. Now, you might say, well, first I have to have something to sell them. Yes, you have to have something to sell them. However, you can create pathways to receive money and not have had the thing to sell. Now, let me make sure you don't hear what I'm not saying, okay? Especially those of you who are listening to this as part of the podcast. I don't want you to hear what I'm not saying. I am not saying scam people. I am not saying promise them something and never deliver, okay? So some of y'all heard on my last Juneteenth update that I was kind of feeling convicted because I found out that there were people who never got their recordings. And we're like talking 2 or 3 years in a row. And I had asked the Lord in prayer, I was like, why are certain people not coming in the speaking engagements anymore? Like, they were powerful speakers. I thought we vibed. I thought we had good energy. And I don't know all the reasons until they tell me, but that's one of them, I'm sure. Like 2 years in a row, you didn't get your video? Yeah, I think I would stop coming and speaking at your events too. So that's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is there's a way to test out the market, test out the concept, and see if people are interested and if they are willing to pay you before you spend all of the money, okay, to go in and do what's going on? Oh, okay, yeah. Yep, that's it right there. That's the right number. If you're in, text I'm into that number there on the screen. Okay, because you don't know yet. And there's this really neat story from the $100 Startup by Chris Guillebeau, and he talks about this guy who wanted to do some kind of automotive catalog. I forget what it was, but he basically took out an ad in these automotive catalogs and these automotive magazines, and he basically said, this big whatever guide it was, let's just call it automotive guide. I don't know exactly what it was, but it's a $100 Startup by Chris Guillebeau. I should put the link in the thing. That would have been smart of me. Could have my Amazon affiliate link in there. Anyway, if you have an Amazon affiliate link, you can go look up the class and put it in there. And if you beat me to it, well, then you get the credit and you get the affiliate fee. It's only 2 cents, but still every 2 cents adds up. And I like my Amazon paychecks. All right. They're not much per person, but they do add up. Okay. So anyway, this guy wants to put together this automotive guide. He advertises it for $950 in all of these different automotive magazines. You know, like when we used to have magazines and in the back they have all the ads. And he advertised it for $900 and something. And he got 2 people that wrote back and said, yes, I would like this. Well, the guy hadn't actually made it yet. He had the resources and the accesses to make it, but he didn't actually go through all of that to make it. Now this was like 20 years ago. So $950 went a lot further than it does today. And so he wrote each of them and said, well, I'm working on an update. Now, I don't agree with lying, but I'm just giving you the example. Okay. I would phrase it a little differently if I had been the guy, because I'm not trying to lose my anointing over $950. But he wrote back, I'm working on version 2. Would you be willing to wait? And so this is back in the day. I don't know who all remembers that. Who else old enough to remember? You had a little thing in the magazine, you cut it out, your check. and they were both on $1,800 right there. And he used that money to make the production of the book he had been working on, the automotive guide. And so there are things that you can do, but you have to have a way for people to pay you. And in today's world, there's so many easy ways for people to pay you. Now, each one of them has their pitfalls. You know, I know so many people who've been burned by Zelle. I know so many people who've been burned by PayPal. I know so many people who've been burned by Cash App. I know so many people who've been burned by Venmo. Actually, I gotta say, I don't know that many people who've been burned by Venmo. I'll dial that one back, because actually nobody comes to mind, but I'm sure there's at least one. But I know plenty of others from the other platforms, you know. But things like Stripe are free. They're free, but you have to have a bank account, and so you have to set these things up. And so you want to have these things set up, and you want to have them ready so that when you have something to test the market with, you have that payment pathway for them to actually pay you. And then you want to audit your processes to make sure that they can actually, when they see the item on your Facebook that you're advertising, and you send them a link to where they can go get it, or you say inbox me, and then you inbox them a link to where they can go get it, that link takes them to where they can pay you, and not takes them to this page and this page and this page and this page and this page. Now, you may want a landing page. If you're selling something that's like $5,000, then yeah, you probably need a landing page. But for a $9 ebook, I'm not clicking 20 times. I'm just not. I'm like, what is this? People be like, give me, here, download my free book on is homeschooling right for me. And then they want like 40 pages of your information. I'm like, you know what? I can do Google research on my own. I can ask ChatGPT. So you want to make a pathway that's easy and doesn't block people. And then as your business grows, you're going to want to audit that, because you don't want to end up like me after a new website refresh on my website, trying to tell people who are already deciding they don't want to work with me. And I'm trying, and they're there for the appointment, and I'm giving them good information. And so what happens sometimes, when people realize that we are not who they thought that we were, or they realize they just don't want to work with us for whatever reason, then what they are doing is they have made that emotional decision, and now they are trying to find a logical reason to say no to you. And that's what these people were doing, because everything they were coming out with, I was coming back. Oh, well, I'm not lazy, just trying to siphon money from the government. I'm not trying to encourage you to be lazy. You worked at this base and this base and this base, all those bases. And what's so funny is now they've come out with all the issues in the news, but we already knew that those bases had issues. And so, like, I'm not trying to cheat the government out of any money. You worked in this place, you breathed those fumes. You probably have some kind of medical conditions that, if they haven't manifest right now, they will manifest in 10 to 20 years. I used to work in the office where they paid all the nuclear widows. A lot of things don't manifest until later. And so basically these people, they got so offended, and I finally got irritated. I was like, well, you're both so severely overweight, you might as well go get some help. Because I was mad. I was just like, okay, because after the website fiasco, and then they had to throw another dig about, we would never work with somebody who wants us to scam the government. I'm like, it's not scamming the government if it's your benefit that you are owed. It's this nation took its pound of well, it didn't take enough pounds of flesh out of them, honestly. I mean, I kind of resemble that now after my retirement, but I was just like, anyway, before I insulted them, they were just looking for a reason, and in that instant I gave them the reason. Oh, well, you're not very organized. How do we know we can even trust you with our money? Some financial planner. And nowadays I'd be like, you know what? Bye. I don't need you as a client. But back then I was getting my business started. I was trying to take all the clients I could get, y'all. But I was trying to click and click. There was no way for them to pay me on my website. There was no way for them to book an appointment on my website. There was no way for them to do anything. They could go to Amazon, my Amazon links to my books. That was about it. And so make sure you audit those pathways. Okay, I think I spent way more longer on that than I intended to. So hopefully for the podcast, I can find a way to trim that down. But that's only one of the two big pathways that you need to create, okay? So when we're looking at making sure that you have easy profit pathways, one is they need to be able to pay you. They need to be able to pay you. That's one side of the pathway. The other side of the pathway is they need a growth of value with you, okay? And that's what I wanted to draw out for you today. Now, what you're getting today is serious gold, y'all. I hope that you will adhere to these principles so that you understand how to implement these things in your life.
Don't forget to like this episode, subscribe to the channel, and ask your question at ladiesofwealth.com.